So let's talk a little bit about the technology that we're going to be exploring this semester. One of the things that I think that's really important to what you are going to learn throughout the lifetime of your degree is how to leverage technology to instruct or lead or teach or coordinate. There are lots and lots of open source options that are free, of course, as open source would imply. And there are scalable enterprise options that up to a point, usually less than 25 users, 25 or below, can be utilized and leveraged for free. So we will get into some of those a little bit later. From time to time, I'll do a few lectures on some of the important topics that I feel need to be expanded upon a little bit. And I'll just post them on different platforms for you to hit the link and go out and view the lecture and the PowerPoint notes that might go with the lecture. In the past, I've used probably 10 or 15 different of these educational portals or platforms or Web 2.0 sources for lectures, and I think it's a very good time for instructional designers as such to understand what technology is available as resources are more and more constrained. For instance, what can I do for you that won't cost you additional support fees or additional access fees, or you won't have to buy additional equipment to leverage in your organization. That's just one application of the thing, but a lot of these things my peers and I have used in our PhD program to collaborate, and in the vein of social networking, we've found that some things work better than others. I mentioned before I started a community of practice for my PhD program and had still have a presence on tappedin.org. And Tapped In is designed for educators. It's for educators by educators. It's okay. Storage is limited, like most things for free are, and it's decent. It's just not particularly user-friendly in terms of the hierarchical structure. Now, granted, I put a lot of information out there, as did my peers, within my discipline. There's a whole body of knowledge. There are 4 other disciplines alongside of mine, along with our overarching PhD, which is technology management. We each have our specializations, 1 of 5. So that's a lot of information per user that can be sent out there, but it's just one example of an interactive Web 2.0 solution that can be leveraged. Skype is another, and I have used Skype quite a bit. I use Skype for personal as well as professional use. I have conference calls on Skype. I'll Skype with peers or people I'm collaborating with to develop presentations for submission, for calls for proposals, or whatever the case is. I Skype with other faculty members. I've Skyped into classrooms before. I have been on ground and lectured and brought in subject matter experts or SMEs via Skype into the classroom, which has been very cool. So the only thing I will tell you about any of these real-time synchronous applications is that you really, really want to avoid using wireless connectivity, because it will interfere. Even if you have a wireless N, like I have a wireless N router, it's much better than my G, but the thing is it still has little burps and hiccups that from time to time the router is catching up and feeding, and it will stop for a period of a moment or two, and that makes your feed a little bit choppy. So if you happen to have a wireless, bypass it and go directly from whatever it is your internet service provider provides you in terms of cabling. Hardwired in. Bypass the router. I would remind you again before our Skype sessions to, number 1, practice. Make sure you're set up correctly. Practice among yourselves, student to student. You can usually work out some of the bugs. Don't wait until you and I sit down to Skype to figure out how your headset works, or to figure out that you need to bypass your wireless router. Go through the checklist for synchronous interactions that is on the Blackboard site. Review all of those points. Please in advance go through that setup. Get in the habit of doing that before you have a synchronous interaction every time, and make sure that you start 15 minutes beforehand so that you can deal with the ever-present, always going to happen things that come up. There will always be something that comes up, no matter how well prepared you are or how experienced you are in utilizing these things. Something always happens. We used Centra at ECU, East Carolina State University, and without exception, someone was dropped off of our Centra connection, and they had to go back in and troubleshoot. And if they hadn't experienced it before, they didn't understand how the client operated and how to troubleshoot it, and a lot of times they would lose entire sessions. So be prepared for all of this. By the time you and I Skype, you should have a little bit of experience under your belt, and you should be familiar with your equipment. Make sure that if you need to, you've got the door closed to wherever you are. You've minimized the background noise. All of this is covered on your synchronous interaction checklist. So again, I can't stress enough how important it is to go over that. If you have any questions or you haven't yet signed up for your Skype session, please go ahead and do that. The schedule still has openings. Obviously, there are more openings than there are people in this course, so you shouldn't have any problem with it. And if you're hamstrung and can't seem to fit into any of the times that are left, then once again, the whole communication piece becomes relevant and important. So I will look forward to Skyping with you unless I hear from you otherwise before then. Thanks.